Hi, I'm Donna. We're going to make a lasagna today. Now start by cooking the hamburger, or the ground beef, whatever you want to call it. When that's completely cooked, we'll drain the grease off of it. And then we'll begin to add some of our spices. The spices that we're going to be using today are salt, pepper, oregano, parsley flakes, dried basil, Italian seasoning, and spicy spaghetti seasoning. The ingredients I'll be using today are going to be for 2 large lasagnas. The ingredients and directions will be in the description box below the video. We'll also be adding onion and garlic. Okay, now while we're still cooking the ground beef, we're going to chop our garlic. Okay, now we're going to add our onion. I don't really need the top on tight, it's not liquids. Okay, we're going to drain the ground beef. We have that draining into a plastic container. I put my ground beef into my blender so that it can chop it, because I didn't really break it up too much while it was cooking. Okay, I just want to show you how the ground beef turned out after going through the blender. And here's how it looks. I just put it on chop and pulse, and there it is. Look at that. I'm now going to add just a pinch of salt, maybe a couple pinches. a few pinches of pepper. What I'm doing is letting the meat brown just a little extra, just to be on the sure side that it's all cooked. In the meantime, I'm going to add a sprinkle of each one of my spices, just a sprinkle. We'll give it a little stir. After I've drained it, I like to cook it an extra, say 10 minutes before starting to add the sauces. Okay, to this now we're going to add our chopped up garlic and our chopped up onion. I just have my stove on about 2.5 or 3 right now. We're going to now start adding our sauces. Got my stove down to about 2. I'm going to start with my canned tomatoes. Diced tomatoes, 28 fluid ounces. I'm going to throw a pinch of salt over that. And a pinch of pepper. And I'm going to stir it in. I'm now going to add the Hunt's Thick and Rich Original Pasta Sauce, 680 mils. I'm now going to add a can of tomato paste, 5.5 fluid ounces. The paste is for thickening the sauce. I'm going to add approximately a half a can of water to it because it's so thick. We're now going to add more spices. I'm going to add a little salt. Some pepper. And I'm not sure, I don't remember the entire order of the other spices, but they will all be in the description box. We got parsley and oregano and spaghetti spice. Got basil. Alright, we're going to give that a stir. I've now turned my stove from 2 down to low. Now we're going to let that sit for maybe a half an hour or so. Then I'll take a little taste to see if it needs more spices. Feel free to leave any comments or questions or anything in the comment box below. I'm just going to add a little extra of everything. This has been simmering for about an hour and a half. I'll give it a stir. It's coming along beautifully. Perfect. Now I'll leave that on low for the next 2 or 3 hours at least. I'll just come and stir it from time to time. Good morning. It's the following day, lasagna day. We're going to begin actually putting the lasagna together. The sauce has cooled. We'll be using the oven-ready, no-boil lasagna strips from Catelli. I had to wind up adding about 1 cup of water because it was just too thick. Now, this is just right. It's ready to work with. If you can stand your spoon up in the center of it, then you know it's perfect. You're ready to start making your lasagna. That's something I heard from an Italian woman. Although I'm Italian too, but just things you learn over time. Alright, I'm going to slide this over here. And we're going to start by adding a couple of scoops of sauce. You want to make sure your whole bottom of your pan is full. Oh, I forgot to mention, after I shut the camera off yesterday, I wound up adding 2 cans of pieces and stems mushrooms. Alright, that's our first layer of sauce. We're going to get started on our lasagna strips. Can overlap them just slightly. Just where the ridges are. Alright, we'll now add more sauce. That's why it's good to let your sauce cool before making your lasagna, because it will thicken and you'll then know at that point if it's too thick. Alright, we have our sauce. We're now going to begin adding the mozzarella cheese. I just used the sliced cheeses. And I just tear them up and put some here and there. We'll now add some shredded cheddar cheese. I just sprinkle it over it. I don't measure it out. You don't need to put any of your layers of cheeses on too thick because there's going to be several layers anyway. And we'll put a small sprinkle of grated Parmesan cheese. Now we'll put our next layer of noodles. Because your last noodle is going to overlap extra, like a little extra, you know. I go back and forth with the layers. So that way there we don't wind up with thicker noodles down at this end. So I go one layer this way, one layer this way. Okay, we'll add our next layer of sauce. And we start the process over. Start with our mozzarella cheese. Sprinkle of cheddar cheese. I don't make lasagna very often. I love my pasta, but I love spaghetti and macaroni and rigatoni. Those are my favorites. But you get in the mood now and then for a good lasagna. Sprinkle of Parmesan cheese. This is just the Kraft 100% Parmesan. My father used to use that all the time. And we begin again. The mozzarella cheese. Cheddar cheese. This is just the block cheddar cheese that you would buy. And then I grated it myself. And Parmesan. And our final layer. Gotta push this down a little bit there to make room for the sauce. One box gives us enough to do one large lasagna. Now when I cook these in the oven, you have to cover it tightly with tin foil. I like to sit it on a cookie sheet so that if it boils over, doesn't make a huge mess in your oven. Now, on this top, all we add is the Parmesan cheese. Now, some people wait and add the Parmesan cheese closer towards the end of the baking time, once they've removed the tin foil. We'll be putting this at the oven at 350 degrees for 45 to 60 minutes. Tightly covered. Then we remove the tin foil, put it back in the oven for about 10 more minutes. You should be able to take a fork, just a regular fork, and pierce it through the lasagna strips easily. There we go. Okay, we'll now place this in the oven for 45 to 60 minutes. Alright, we're going to take the lasagna out of the oven. It's been in there for 55 minutes. Fork goes through nicely. So I'll be putting this back in the oven for 10 more minutes. Just to melt all the cheese. Doesn't that look lovely? And thanks for watching.